Welcome to the first Austin-built Tesla Model Y that I have had the opportunity to work on and detail, and importantly, share with you guys on camera. Now, you guys know on this channel we do a lot of build quality reviews. We've actually already done a Tesla Model Y in this same color, but it was a performance with white interior, and importantly, built in Fremont. So I want to do a follow-up video to that on an Austin built car, do a little compare and contrast between the both of them, looking at the build quality. What is the fit and finish like on an Austin built Tesla Model Y versus the Fremont built one? I want to jump inside, look at the interior, see how things are feeling, and importantly, as a detailer, look at the paint, take some paint readings, show you a few areas that are a little interesting on this particular car. Welcome back to another out of spec detailing video. Let's get into it. So before we jump into this, I just want to quickly talk about this car and its lifespan that it's had. So this car was actually picked up back in November of 2022, before all chaos went crazy with Tesla price reductions, tax credits, all that nonsense. This was also, importantly, the week that they canceled ultrasonic sensors in the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y. More on that later. So this particular car has 13,000 miles on it. So it is not a factory fresh car. So keep that in mind while we're looking at stuff. I'm not going to be bringing out the scan grip showing you all of the scratches, but there's definitely, like I said in the intro, some weird things going on with the paint, as well as some weird things going on with this car in general. So this A right here indicates the Austin built Tesla Model Y. And like I said before, we had the Fremont built one in here, and I was reasonably impressed with the car. Thought it was put together quite nice. A few things here and there, of course, but overall pretty darn nice. So I'm curious, having the first Austin car in here, how does it stack up? And let me get the weirdest thing out of the way, because this particular car is quite the unicorn. What do I mean? So as I said before, this car was purchased back in November. It was actually purchased the week that Tesla canceled the ultrasonic sensors for Model 3 and Model Y. You'll notice here on the bumper that they do have the ultrasonic sensors. So the customer rolled up to the dealership fearing that his car was not going to have that software and actual hardware on there of having ultrasonic sensors. And then he realized as he drove it away from the dealership, there was no park assist. And he's like, what the heck is going on? And I found yesterday, I don't even know if he noticed this, the rear bumper has no ultrasonic sensors. So it seems to me that Tesla just slapped an extra bumper on this thing right in between that. And I'm not, of course, going to do this, but I'd be curious to see if all the wiring harness and loom for the sensors is actually on the front bumper, whereas they used a newer bumper at the rear. I posted this on Twitter and I thought the comments were interesting on it. A lot of people not caring, a lot of people annoyed with Tesla. I get that. And a lot of people saying, well, they had to use old parts. Well, my thought process as a manufacturer that has millions of vehicles on the road now, wouldn't you want to have spare bumpers with the ultrasonic sensors in them? So I feel like Tesla definitely could have a back inventory for cars that get in wrecks and use the new bumpers. So a real kind of one-off here. I have never seen this. But anyways, let's move along to build quality. Now, let's just jump in here and talk fender to A-pillar alignment. Now this looks pretty good. Notice the alignment here. I want you to remember how this fits here, this rubber seal, compared to the other side. Definitely notice here it gets quite a bit tighter as we move down. And as I shuffle over here, fender to door alignment, pretty large gap here. This also sticks up quite a bit above where the door sits. This all the way down definitely tapers. It gets really tight right in this area. So definitely some alignment issues going on here. The camera here looks really nicely aligned, but definitely this is an area I see on all Model Ys that seems to be an issue for Tesla, and this one is no exception. It's got a lot of warping in the plastic. It doesn't fit quite flush. But starting down here, this rocker panel, hopefully you guys can see that, sits out quite a bit. There's a little bit of gap here. It gets really tight. I wish they all looked like this area here. But as you'll notice, it warps out here, warps back in. And then we've got this warping all along here, not fitting super flush against there. Moving along to the front bumper and fender. This looks pretty good. Nice tight line here, but noticing that this fender is sticking up ever so slightly. There's some weird stuff going on with this headlight as well. And these are the old headlights that you get only on the long range now. If you have the performance, you get the updated ones. But really weird panel alignment going on here. The bumper actually sits under this headlight here and is really tight. As I push this in, I can feel it kind of catching on there. I worry over time that this is going to rub paint off. You'll notice how it kind of flaps over here and then goes back in. So really needs some adjustment on this headlight here. This panel alignment up here looks all pretty good, again, until you get to the front bumper. Now, jumping up here to hood and fender alignment. This looks pretty normal, nice and flush here, but as I come down here, definitely tapers. On camera, it looks like this is a pretty even body gap here, but it really tapers. In person, you can really see this. Gets really tight up here, but this actually feels and looks good, bumper to fender here. Now, popping over here, you can really see some stuff going on. So quite a bit bigger gap. The bumper is definitely aligned okay here, not perfect. As I come up here, look how thick that panel gap is. Really thick. It does fit nice and flush here though. And this is a piece I was telling you about. So this piece is definitely even not sitting in. And you can definitely see that because this fender is not fully pushed in. Notice this notch here, how it kind of comes back in. Definitely not aligned perfectly. I think this would allow that to sit quite a bit better. Now here, this looks okay. Again, this edge still not fitting perfect. As we move down here, this door actually looks a lot better. Nice and flush here. Follow this all the way down though, gets really tight down here. Very similar to what we saw on the other side. This front arch here looks pretty good all the way until about here. As you notice, it tapers off of the body. I really want them to fix that because I really don't think it looks that good. Down here, we have the similar issue where it's just popping out. This is not great for aero. I don't think it looks very good. And yeah, really not that impressive, to be honest. Same issue going on here with the headlight. Extremely tight down here. Definitely not as bad as the other side, but really tight down here, and it opens up all the way around. This actually looks great up here, but that bottom leading edge looks quite terrible, to be honest. There's some funky stuff going on with this bumper as well as far as paint, and I was really curious from a detailer's perspective to look at the paint and see how their new paint booth is doing down at Austin. And what I'm seeing here, look at this texturing in here. It almost looks dry as I move around, so keep your eye on that light. Looks really glossy and then really dry, really not looking the greatest in all honesty. Here on this famous ultrasonic sensor on this car, noticing almost looks like a paint drip around here. Really strange stuff going on there. Fog lights fit as normal with Tesla. I feel like they fit pretty well. All of this gapping here looks pretty awesome. So moving on to the doors here, I'm already noticing that this rocker panel at the front, notice how this is nice and flush against this body panel here, and then the door is inset. You'll notice as this gap grows quite a bit, then you get to the rear door, it shrinks a bit, and then finishes nice and flush. Doesn't seem as designed, to be honest. Mirror section here looks all really good. This is a known issue on Tesla. I really wish they'd fix this while I'm detailing cars. I often catch this a little bit. You notice how it's not quite tacked up in here. Really want them to work on that and fix it because towels catch on that quite often. Now here, door alignment on this trim. I still don't know why this is such a darn issue with these manufacturers, but this door is so pushed in. This sticks out quite a bit, and then it's not even level whatsoever. Really would like them to fix this kind of stuff because I think it really deteriorates the build quality, fit, finish, and feel. Now here on the door handles, these look really good. I would say that it fits inset a little bit, but not bad. This is pretty common what you see with the Model Ys. Moving back here, this is a little bit the same, whereas this door edge is sticking out a little bit. Better panel alignment there, but I really think they could dial that in. Same door handle here, fits nice, a little bit inset, but look at the fit and finish around there. Actually looks really good. This door jamb here does look a little wide, but it's very even, very flush here. And then following this down, all very flush, so that looks pretty good. Noticing here a little bit that this plastic piece is a little twisted. I think that could use a little bit of fitment. Again here on the back, look at how this warps. So really nice and tight, warps out, comes back in, warps out. And then, yeah, I really want them to work on fixing that. Hopefully videos like this will continue to help with that. Now, this is one of the paint areas that is just weird. And let me show you guys this. So again, we've got some of that dull area spotting here going on. So it's like really dull right here where they've painted a different orange peel texture, and then it gets really clear. And then come in here and look at this. Really weird. It's almost like they repainted this, had a tape line here, resprayed this area. We've got all kinds of debris in the paint. Really not looking good. This edge really looks terrible. And look at the color difference there. Completely different color, totally different texture, totally different gloss. Really not ideal there. Now, fit and finish here. This is something I see on mostly all Model Ys. They really struggle with this. This one looks okay. So this rear quarter is sticking out a little bit, but following this up, it all looks pretty good. Nice and tight seal here. The trunk lid though sticks up quite a bit. Let me flip over here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Not perfect. So yeah, something to work on there. This up here, really tight window trim to quarter panel here, and then opens up as we move down. But not looking horrible as far as panel alignment here, but this paint looks absolutely atrocious. I hope you guys can actually see that. Moving on here to the rear taillights. I know Tesla has issues with these. A lot of companies do. This all looks pretty good. It's a little bit thicker gap up here, gets a little tighter, but all the way around looks pretty good. I like this seam here, how nicely that fits. But then you'll start noticing some things like this, where the taillight's actually pushed in more than this other taillight here. And then look how tight this seam gets here. Gosh, if they could just finish that all the way around, what a nice thing this would be. You'll also notice that these don't necessarily line up the greatest, and that this is definitely a heck of a lot tighter than over here. You can almost stick your pinky in there. As far as fit and finish, they're not great. I am happy to say though that this trunk lid looks a heck of a lot better than a lot of them that I see. This lines up quite well. This looks as designed, where the bumper sticks out a little bit more than the actual deck lid here as it gets sucked in. This thing has some weirdness to it though. Listen to this when it hits the top and watch the shocks. See how it came back down? Really interesting. It feels like it's almost overstretching this strut over here on the side. Really, really strange. Let's close this up here. Really smooth, a little loud there on the actuation. This rear plastic diffuser fits fantastic all the way around. But moving along here, let's check out the charge port, because I know this can be a common area for issues. And this actually looks really good. Again, same thing we saw on the other side, a little bit thicker gap. It's a little tighter here. Feels great. Is actuated really, really nice. Now following this along here, we definitely have a little bit of taper going on, thicker line up here, and then tapers as we go up. Fortunate to say the paint on this side looks a heck of a lot better. So I'll need to probably do a little bit of wet sanding and definitely some compounding on that other side to get some of that texture out. This fits a heck of a lot better up here, and yeah, looking pretty darn good. Now here we've got the same issue, really tight up here, like almost to the point of taking paint off. Hopefully you guys can see that there. Moving along here, this little bumper piece definitely sticking out a little bit, nice and tight all the way up here, and then more warping here on this plastic. Man, I just think that that really doesn't look the greatest, guys. Sorry to keep banging on about that, but I really think they could improve that. Now, window trim here, this looks a little bit better. This is definitely sticking out a little bit, but really nice panel gap all the way down. Again, door handles look fantastic here. Look at this one, actually. This looks fantastic. So why can't we get that dialed in on the other side? Also, this seam looks perfect here. Really nice and flush in this area. Fits fantastic. Looks great all the way around. Again, door handle looks great. These fit really good on this side. So the driver's side's looking better, which I would prefer. You know, you're getting in on this side every time. Same thing going on down here though. So notice how thick this black line is down here. That is the door sitting a little bit in compared to the rocker panel. You get back here and that goes away. So feels like the rocker panel either needs to be pushed in or the door come out ever so slightly. Let's check these out. Okay, about the same. You always catch these when you're wiping this. Washing the car, you can always catch this edge. Always feel like these are gonna rip out of the car. Really don't love that. Overall, my impression on the outside, pretty good so far. Let's quickly check the glass here. Glass actually looks really, really nice. Perfectly even all the way down. I just love the roofs on the Model Y here. Now here we've got a little bit where the back glass sticks up a little bit more than this area, but actually looks really good. So overall fit and finish on exterior of the vehicle, not bad, not great. There's definitely some things they really need to dial in. The paint stuff definitely concerns me. This area is really weird. We'll take some paint readings in a little bit after we jump inside. Very curious to see how all over the place that is, as well as the consistency of the paint. But let's jump inside here and see how this is looking. So there are some surprises inside, and I gotta say the surprise is this feels really pretty good. I mean, I've been around this car a little bit, so I actually cleaned up this whole interior. I found little to nothing, and that's not to be said for every single Tesla. My personal Model 3 over here, so this is my car, love it. You know, I've got some interior stuff going on where this panel's not aligned. Some of these areas are not really well put together. There's a few things, but that's what you're paying for, right? So you're not buying something like this that is well north of 100 grand. That interior, by the way, is absolutely insane. Material fit and finish, the choices in there, fantastic. You know, I love this material. As you know, my car, I abuse it. have 2 dogs that run in and out of this car all the time. The seats hold up great. Look at how nice these seats look. You would never even know somebody sat in this. This car's got 13,000 miles, a little bit of buckling over there on the bolster. I think it's kind of nice actually to do a build quality video on a car with some miles too, to see how everything's feeling, how everything's wearing in, and overall, my impression of the interior, really pretty good. I think some of the plastics down here, this is my biggest complaint with my car. These don't feel the greatest. Same with here on the side, but that's what you're paying for, or not paying for, I guess. You're not buying a $100,000 car, if you will. But this is kind of weird on this car. I noticed this. So the whole seat is kind of doing this. It seems like this motor is trying to push it all the way back, whereas this one is not engaging. That is definitely not normal behavior. I'll go over here on the side and check that. See how the door shuts feel? Very nice. That feels really good. How about the back here? So back, you lose this vent down here, but same materials. This all feels, you know, normal. But the biggest thing with these interiors is they wear so nice. This customer has a dog that gets in the back. There's a bunch of dog hair, vacuums up easy. I just love these seats. Some of the best seats in the industry. Now they're nowhere near like the Lucid over there as far as materials, but I actually almost prefer this stuff because it cleans up so well. My white interior looks incredible, cleans up so easy. A few things I'm noticing here. This kind of scratching. Now, this is a very plasticky material here. This customer just moved, so we had boxes in and out of here, and he's already told me, wow, there was a lot of damage to the back of the seats there, so something to keep in mind there. That sounded okay, almost a little bit of rattle in that door. Let's come over here to the driver's side, see how everything's looking. I'm not gonna spend a huge amount of time on the interior. There's honestly not much to say other than it feels good. Materials aren't the greatest, but that's what you're getting for a $50,000, $60,000-ish car. Not amazing. I know that's a ton of money, guys, but like when you compare it to something like that, it's night and day on interior difference. Love these steering wheels. They wear so nice. Again, look at the bolsters here. Other than a few wrinkles, they all feel really good. Oh, I was gonna check the seat here. So that one does it, but it's on that side now. I definitely do not remember my car doing that. Really interesting there. Now, one of the weirdest things with this car that I've noticed on the interior, and this is every Model Y, is when you open up the trunk here, you obviously have seats that fold down, so you can do that over here on the side. Actually really feels nice actuation up there. But you have these two buttons. I want you to notice something here. So this tells me that it should be the passenger side right one, so this one, and this one has the driver's side with the middle that folds down. So let's click this button. What? So it should be this one, right? So I'm gonna pull this one, but now that seat goes down. Completely opposite. So it seems to me like they just need to switch those buttons around. I have yet to see a Model Y that has those correctly done, which is just really strange. I'm not sure why that is, but yeah. So no big surprises on the interior other than it feels really pretty good. You know, build quality materials are not something like a Lucid or a Mercedes. They're good, they're livable. Yeah, I think well deserving of the price point. So lastly, guys, let's check out paint readings, and I'm very curious to see how the Austin cars are painted. This paint's definitely seen some better days. It has not been really hand washed that much. It has no protection on it. You can see quite a bit of staining in here from salt on the roads here in Colorado. We'll get that all dialed in. Again, worried about some areas like this. Now we can't read thickness on bumpers. Hopefully I can get some of that dullness out, but yeah. So here is our paint meter. So guys, for that haven't seen this channel, what this does is basically takes from the tip of this machine right here, this metal, down to the metal, measures the difference in between. We use mils here at the shop, so between 4 to 6 mils is what I like to see, which is around the thickness of a sheet of printer paper. So consider how thin that is, that you have primer, color coat, clear coat, so it can get really thin, especially in areas. Anything under 3.5 really concerns me. Funny enough, one of these, probably one of the most controversial cars we've had on the channel here. It was a Lucid Air Grand Touring, not this one. Thing had no paint on it. So it came in to get a full ceramic coating, a full paint correction. I took paint readings on it and went, oh, okay, we have no paint. So I had to say to the customer, listen, we can't do that. So that's why this is so important. So I'm not only looking for thickness here, but consistency. Really concerned. Some of the things I've seen on this particular car, as far as paint, I'm curious if it's gonna be very consistent or not. Let's start here in the center of the hood. Let's go back to mils, 5 mils. Let's come here on the Tesla emblem, 452. Okay, reasonably good start within a 0.5 mil variance. That looks pretty good there. 479, okay, not bad. I really like to see above 4. That's a great amount of paint there. 570, great. Okay, so a little bit inconsistent. 5.5 there, 5 there. Pretty normal so far. .368. Okay, so that's getting a little low up there. Really interesting. Let's take some more readings on this front fender here. 443. 450. Okay, so this area seemed a little thin, a little higher up here, so a little, in all honesty, all over the place. Now again, I can't take readings on bumpers because they are not metal. Come here on the hood. 50. 416. 457. Little bit low up here again, so some inconsistencies going on. So seeing 5.5 in areas on the hood down to 373, not ideal so far. 568 here, 484, 552. At least this one has a little bit more paint on it, but definitely all over the place. 385, that's getting down there. 411, let's come up here on this A-pillar, whatever you want to call it, all the way around. So 390 in that area, 366. So a little bit thin on this. Not liking that. Okay, so definitely a little thin up there. I'm going to have to be conscious of this area when paint correcting. Can't go too crazy on it. So Again, this paint meter is so important, and this is a brand new-ish car, if you will. The guy has not really detailed it much. There's not a ton of scratches on the paint, in all honesty, so I know this car hasn't been detailed like he told me. So these paint readings are likely what they came from the factory as, so just keep that in mind. 470, 483, 367. Okay, so our lowest reading yet. 465. Okay, just quickly check these doors. Okay, so pretty reasonable so far, guys. A little bit of variability, definitely seeing some stuff. Nowhere near what I've seen with some of these Lucids where they have, I saw one reading actually on this particular car on the roof that was 202 mils, which is half the thickness of a sheet of paper for base coat, color coat, clear coat. Insane. So just keep that in mind. 447, 461. Okay, so that's looking consistent-ish. Boy, that really feels like tin back there. It feels really thin. So this is the area, again, that I'm most concerned about. There is some wonky stuff going on here. So my hopes here is that I'm not going to see like a 10 to 13 mil reading here, which means they completely resprayed this. Now, I don't know how they messed this thing up this bad. There is just, again, so look at how cloudy this paint is here. It gets really clear. Then you've got this weird texture with almost like a tape line here. And you've got debris everywhere. Up here, horrible texturing, completely different color. That really does not look good. So let's start here. 536, 566. Okay, so nothing out of the ordinary that I'm seeing as far as paint readings. Also noticing, what is this little thing here? That's really weird. That almost looks like a denebbing mark underneath the actual color coat. Really strange. Let's take a reading right there. 310. Okay, holy smokes, that's really low. Let's go again. Yeah, a little all over the place here, guys. So, okay, so interesting. So overall, not great, not super inconsistent. This type of stuff really freaks me out, especially with the front bumper. Let me just quickly show you this again. The front bumper looks really dull. The coloring's really off here. Let me see if I can bring you in here. So notice how much silvery-er it is, if that's a word, compared to up here where it's quite a bit more blue. And again, we've got some of this like almost blending looking paint in here. It's really strange texture, very dull. And then here on the front bumper, it's just really not a lustrous color. So, okay guys, well, overall impressions with the Austin built Model Y. Well, my impressions are, if you have the choice, get a Fremont built one because I think they're built quite a bit better. Panel alignment, a little bit off on this car. The paint issues really kind of concern me on this one. Overall, I think it's okay. Is it worth the price point? I don't know. That's not for me to decide because I didn't buy this particular car. Now, with tax incentives, this car is substantially less than when this customer bought it back in November. So I think that's really interesting to note compared to some of its competitors, of course. I mean, if you're in the market for one of the best software SUVs or EVs in general, yeah, get yourself a Model Y, but definitely take some notes upon delivery because there's some weird stuff. Like I said, this bad boy is an absolute unicorn with those ultrasonic sensors up here and a flat bumper back here. Really, really weird. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you on another out of spec detailing video very, very soon. Bye-bye.